Good afternoon, YouTube. We're heading up a Steepens Canyon Road today, and down at the bottom they had road closed signs, and I guess this is what it was for. Okay, I guess today it's a 2-for-1 special on down trees. This one, yeah, it did take out the power line. You can see up there it's broken off. You can hear the generators running over there. Yeah, the whole canyon, every house has a generator running. Yeah, so a few more down trees past the gate there. Yeah, there was a couple down below, and then right here is like 3 big tree trunks, and then here it looks like, yeah, there was like one big tree up there. Looks like it broke and then fell over and knocked down a couple of smaller trees. Little sheltered places, there's about an inch of snow down there. You can see down in here little patches of snow. So they probably had a little bit up here. A few little patches of snow down there on the north facing slopes. I figure take a look at those waterfalls down by the wrecked car. So let's go take a look down there. Coming down the side of the canyon towards the creek there, and this is the bottom of that landslide. And you can see how all of this ground up rock just sort of flows down the hill here, and it just comes out of the side of the canyon here. A year ago I hiked up along here when the water level was quite low. The one wrecked car is right down there. Looks like there's a bumper piece of chrome there, and then there's the car. I'm gonna make my way back up over here and take a look at the water. Yeah, we even have a little snow right down here. Snow and ferns, there you go. And right next to the creek, yeah, this is this really narrow canyon here. I think last spring, I hiked up over this point here, and I got a little farther up. But with the water level now, there's no way to get across, I don't think. This here is part of that tectonic block, and then over there, that's the North American plate, and you can see how eroded this is. I think all the rocks over on this side are very fragile. They're all crumbly. I don't know what kind of rock is up over here, but it's very red color. And the rocks on the Pacific plate side are these lighter colored rocks. You got white there and these lighter gray rocks. All of these rocks are from this side. So the fault runs right down here, and this block right here is shoved up against the North American plate. So it probably doesn't move a lot. The Pacific plate underneath is moving and grinding along on the bottom of this block. This slope here goes up about 400 feet high at the highest point, and it runs about 800 feet along the canyon here. And it's just this loose, crumbly rock here. And what happens is this tectonic block is made out of this really hard, resistant rock, and that's pushed up against the North American plate. And you can see how the creek just keeps cutting into that bank, and up around the corner here, there's like a 180-degree bend in the creek where it's just eroding into this face. 100 years goes by, and then you have a big earthquake like in 1906, and that geology paper I read talked about this slide came down. This is a pretty narrow canyon here. You have 400 feet vertical of slope by about 800 feet. You know, that's many acres of terrain, depending on how deep the landslide is. If it's a couple of feet deep, you dump 50 or 100,000 cubic yards of landslide debris down in this canyon, and the creek stops flowing. So I think this creek has been dammed up many times over this millennia. The creek washes away, eats away at this bank until it gets really steep, and then you get a good earthquake shaking it, or a good heavy rain, and down comes a huge pile of debris down here. And that's what all these rocks are. They're left over from that landslide. So either this side slides, you can see how steep that is. There's a big boulder right up there, and that can come down, or you've got the slide behind me that's active, or you've got this one, this big corner up here is probably really slide prone. That's where the highest peak is up there. This elevation here is about 1,200 feet, and the top of the slide is 1,600 foot elevation. You can see the consequences of this canyon being plugged, and there's evidence about a half-mile up there of this very thing happening. Probably every couple hundred years, this creek gets dammed up by the landslides, and it backs up here until the creek starts coming over the top of the debris, and gradually over probably a decade or two, it'll cut its way back down, and then you're left with all these big boulders here. There's just tons of boulders down the creek here, and this part of the creek is really steep. It's got a really good gradient. But yeah, let's go down. I'll go down and take a look at this waterfall here that I shot a video of last spring. Okay, here's that waterfall. This one was just barely running last year, but now it's also coming over the other side. But there you can see that hillside up there is just crumbly rock all the way up. You know, like I say, the creek goes up here, and then there's a big horseshoe bend, and then it goes straight again. And right at that first bend is a big slide area, and that was the end of the tectonic block where I hiked to last week. And that slide comes all the way down from there. Now it's probably a good 200 vertical feet, and this side over here is probably here about 200 feet, and then by the time you get up to that bend, it's up around 400 feet drop down to the creek. But yeah, you can see this hill you have to go up to get out of here. I mean, that is just about straight up there. But yeah, this is the bottom of this tectonic block. So this block, it starts a ways down here, and then it goes pretty much up to the water crossing, which is about a half-mile up, and then it goes up vertically about 200 feet vertically above creek level. So this whole block here is just slowly sliding down this way. Okay, yeah, almost at the top of the hill. Man, this thing is really soft. It's very wet and slippery. And then, yeah, I think I've pretty much followed the trail up. And then right here, they had a bunch of branches they cut out last spring, and they threw it over the edge here and blocked the little user trail right there. I don't think they were trying to block this trail. They cleared some brush out up along the canyon road there. And this was just the first open place they could toss it off the trail. I saw that last spring, and it's like, why did they have to throw it here? Okay, yeah, made it back up to the old road here, and yeah, there's definitely snow up here, little patches here in the shady spots. So imagine if I had a little more time today, I could head up the hill, and probably at the top I imagine that the trail might be covered in snow, but that would also mean crossing the creek up here, which is pretty deep, and that would mean wet feet. My bike thermometer was saying 41, which is 5 Celsius. Having cold, wet feet when it's that cold out doesn't sound like much fun. Just before I shut it off here, there's the big landslide top there. So that's where that horseshoe bend is. So the creek makes a 180-degree turn there, and the creek is just eating into the base of this hill here. And you can see that slide. That's about 400 vertical feet. But that whole thing there, the creek is just eating the bottom of that hill out, and then you get a good earthquake shake, and that whole hillside cuts loose, and dams up the creek, it probably gets up to this level. You know, this would probably be 100 feet high dam, and then the water backs upstream for probably a kilometer upstream. So I'll show you on the hillshade map, you can see plainly where the water backs up from these landslide dams. And it probably takes a few years for the creek to gradually fill up behind there and then start going over the dam. And then it probably takes a decade or two to cut down through the dam until it's back to its regular level. So I think that's where the landslide dam comes from. It comes down out of here. This is the North American plate. A lot of rotten rock there. And this tectonic block on this side is just shoved up tight against that rotten rock. So yeah, anyway, that is my hypothesis. But I'll show you the hillshade map and we can take a look at the evidence for this creek being dammed up by landslides in this area. It's very clear.